Sacramento is the capital of California, which is located in Northern California. Sacramento is the 35th fastest largest city in the United States. In 2018, it is estimated to be the 6th largest city in California. With a few facts that we have learned about Sacramento, California, we can already tell that Sacramento is a very diverse culture. Over the semester, we have learned multiple techniques and learning objectives about different cultures. We have learned that Sacramento is a very diverse city, or you can say a melting pot. Specifically, in this video, we are going to be using the ethnography technique to learn about the Sacramento culture. Ethnography is using field work to discover and describe the important aspects and effects of particular cultural groups or cultural events. Ethnos means culture, and graphy means mapping, charting, and writing. There are systematic and scientific studies of particular groups of people and of their culture. In the video, there will be 4 participants that volunteered to be interviewed. Rhonda and Emily are going to use an ethnography approach while interviewing them. So what's your name?
My name is Madeline Switzer.
Hi, Maddie.
Hi.
So where are you from?
Originally I'm from Missoula, Montana.
So how long have you been living in Sacramento?
Like 8 years now. Almost
Okay.
9.
How do you define the Sacramento culture?
Busy.
Busy.
Yep.
Okay. Do you feel as if there's a difference in the culture here as of where you're from?
Oh, absolutely. One thing I noticed when I first moved down here was that like the city, like actual like downtown Sacramento, like Montana, we don't have like skyscrapers, and we don't have like most buildings are like 10 stories tall maybe, like, and so it's really like interesting to see, and like we don't have like Ubers and all that kind of stuff either, so like it's the busyness and like the how much stuff is happening all at the same time in Sacramento is way different from where I'm from. So
Oh, okay. I do agree. Do you think that Sacramento culture has an effect on its society?
absolutely, I think all cultures have effects on their own societies. People morph to where they are, so.
Do you have any examples of how the Sacramento culture affects society?
Yeah, one thing I've noticed is like women's rights is a huge like issue here. Like people are like obsessed with it, and like they want to make sure that like women are treated fairly and all this stuff. And so they have things like women's marches and stuff. Like in Montana, we definitely don't have those kind of things. Like it's pretty much equal all around, and so, and it's not really an issue of like women aren't treated with respect, and maybe that's because there aren't like huge cities of like huge governmental type structures that are there, so like maybe that's why, but yeah.
Would you consider yourself a Sacramento native?
Oh, absolutely. Born and raised.
So since you've lived here, how would you define Sacramento culture?
I'd say art and music are really important in Sacramento, and definitely history is a big deal.
So since you've lived here your whole life, would you say that it has an effect on Sacramento society? And if you think so, can you give me any examples?
For sure, yeah. I feel like people in Sacramento are very aware of the history of the area. You know, it's like the Crocker Art Museum and the Railroad Museum and stuff. It's a big deal around here. And then artistically and musically, you know, you've got like great bands that have come out of Sac, like LCD Sound System and Oleander.
All right, well, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you.
For sure.
So would you describe yourself as a Sacramento native?
No, I'm a transplant. I grew up south of Fresno in Kings County, and then moved up this way after college and marriage.
There you go. So how long have you lived in Sacramento?
About 10 years or so.
So how would you describe the culture of Sacramento?
Culture of Sacramento, kind of historical. There's a lot of music festivals for the young kids and the younger crowds. Older people like them too. You have Old Town Sac that has a lot of historical stuff there, historical societies, things like that. And then you have the gold rush that was right up here in Coloma. So a lot of historical around Sacramento. The Pony Express was started here. Wells Fargo came up out of here. Lots of historical stuff.
Would you say that the Sacramento culture has a powerful impact on its society?
Oh, I would think so. Most of the people here are pretty laid back and friendly, not a lot of extremes. People like to get along and have fun.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
I would say the Sacramento culture is super diverse. You kind of get a mixture of everything. You have, ethnic diversity and like social diversity. Whereas like where I'm from, there's no diversity. It's basically like plain cut and dry. Yeah.
Okay. How many years have you lived in Sacramento?
I have lived in Sacramento for 7.
7 years.
Yep, 7 years.
Do you feel as if there's a difference in the culture here as of where you're from?
Yeah, I feel like where I'm from is more, it's more of like a one size fits all. Like there's not social policy and there's not ethnic policy. There's no diversity, like I said. So like a lot of things are made to fit one crowd of people, whereas even on the West Coast in general, it's very like generalized to like fit a lot of people. Where I'm from is very small town, so everybody knows each other, everybody's related, and so yeah, more connected.
Do you have any examples of how Sacramento culture affects its society?
Yeah, I would say public education on like things like government is way more important here and like valued so much more. Like we have classes like civics and economics and stuff like that that I feel like is conditioned to like help kids understand the importance. I feel like living in the capital of California, like we live in Sacramento, so we are like constantly reminded with like politicians and policy, public policy, ads on TV, stuff like that. In North Carolina, it's more, especially where I'm from, it's more like focused on you should be voting a certain way versus like what the policies indicate. I feel like California focuses way more on policy than voting party, I guess. So.
Throughout the 4 interviews, we also used another method called methodology. Methodology is a systematic way of process or procedure while accomplishing something. Methodology came into place while we were interviewing the 4 participants. It came into action when we asked their views about how Sacramento culture affects the society and what their views are about the culture in Sacramento. Ethnography and methodology both have similar traits. What makes them similar is that they both have process of procedure. The primary focus about ethnography is to discover and describe the importance of the effects and the cultural events within the culture that you are studying. For example, Sacramento, California. Another quality that ethnography shares is that it has a systematic view, which is a scientific study of particular groups of people and their culture. In our studies with our participants, they studied about the Sacramento people and how they mold and shape within their culture. Methodology is more focused on the discipline and practice within the cultures and issues that the culture provides. For example, Maddie in her interview said that Sacramento is very forward with women's rights and the Women's March. In Nick's interview, he commented how in the school system that it's very important that we learn about the government and the politics, especially since we are in the capital of California. Another fundamental view that reflects off of Sacramento is a comment that was made by our second interviewer. He commented saying how Sacramento is very into music, and that is a very true statement. Many bands have been found and discovered in Sacramento, and the city is truly found off of music, in my opinion. It is a very artsy town and city, especially in Midtown Sacramento. With the 4 participants in the video, Emily and Rhonda were able to prove their ethnography and methodology techniques in the Sacramento culture and society. With that being said, I think it is safe to say that Sacramento is a culture and society filled with energy, diversity, and it is truly a melting pot.